Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Welcome back. Let's go to get started with the questions.
I think we should give it an opportunity to the floor to raise, I'm sure, far more interesting questions.
How do we find this balance, the balance between this base need and this high need of spirituality? Because I think that we are in the middle, and what we want is a ease in life in this democracy so that we can all become seekers and concentrate on seeking as opposed to concentrating on surviving. That's my question.
Thank you. Now, it's obviously, that's how my perspective has pretty much kind of always been. It's somewhere in the middle, and where's that middle? That is genuinely the hardest question to ask. So, see what Sadhguru has to say.
Him, right?
Oh,
No, it's for you, Sadhguru. The balance is about you. We are all imbalanced people.
Now, I will simplify this. How do I bring a balance between, right now I am hungry, I am. Right now I am hungry, how to fill this and how to attain to the highest goal, whatever that is, mukti or liberation, or how to fill my belly and how to meditate. How to make these two things happen? You are addressing it as if they're two separate things. Do not address it as two separate things. You are a human being. You are a human being who's come with both the needs. But when you're hungry, if I ask you to meditate, you are not going to meditate. Will you? And I will not ask you to meditate, because I think when a man is hungry, asking him to meditate is vulgar. It's an obscenity. When somebody is hungry, you talk to him about mukti, I think it's obscene. I will not do such a thing. If he's hungry, we must see how first the food should happen. Then only we can talk about another dimension. So do not look at it as two separate things, but physical need is an urgent need. Meditation, you could postpone it to tomorrow. Dinner you must have today, isn't it? So economics is the need right now, because half the population has still not eaten properly yet. You can talk meditation only to those who have eaten well, not to those who have not eaten well. We don't do such things. That is why Isha has a spiritual aspect and a social aspect. I don't like to do the social thing. If the administration had taken care of all the social needs, I would like to do just the spiritual part. But if I do just the spiritual part, I will leave out half the population. So I am doing the social thing with them. So do not separate it. If your stomach becomes full, immediately the other need will naturally come up within you. I don't have to tell you, you meditate. You will start looking, what do I need to fulfill my life? Because this is the nature of a human being. If you came here as some other creature, stomach full, life settled. Once you come as a human being, stomach empty, only one problem. Stomach full, 100 problems. So, once your stomach becomes full, you will seek other things. You don't have to be told. You will seek anyway. Then other things will come anyway. That's why we are talking so much about economics right now.
I do wonder, like, I understand he's trying to get a balance, and we should do things that seems to be natural. Hunger was an explanation of his. Some people are more hungry than others, and up to what point do you say you're satiated with your hunger? To what point do you say you're full? Some people would continue to eat and eat and eat, just going along the lines of his expression there, and then we will never get to the meditation portion. And I think and I do agree with him, the balance, maybe a little bit of both, but… Okay, so fix those who are starving and those who are in need, fix that first. Then we can worry about the people who… and then we can worry about the people who eat too much, going along the lines of his expression with the spiritual aspect of it. Okay. But the problem is the fact that, which I hope most people got that, where he's going both social and spiritual aspects. We cannot focus on one or the other. It kind of does need to be a two-prong thing there, because if the people who are not really are eating plenty but eat too much, by them continuing this path could end up affecting the people who are still starving. So it needs to be again a balance of doing both at the same time, having spiritual aspects of those who have plenty, and then to raise the I guess the economics of those who are poor. Again, still, what is the solution? It's the middle ground, but what is it though? I guess he's probably throwing it out there for people who are economic majors who can find a solution to that middle ground. Which, yeah, I don't know either. Again, like I said, I know it's somewhere in the middle, but the solution, where in the middle is it at? I don't know.
I think there is a hint from Sadhguru that we should wind up because he's hungry. Who is next?
No.
Who is next? Yes, this young man.
In politics, you said you require a business outlook leaders. That perhaps it means like instead of people who share 100 rupees, you want people to make 100 to 1,000 rupees and share 500 rupees. That's what.
No, I'm not talking about sharing. See, he said politicians have spent some 500 crores something. I said, no, they have invested. So, but the problem is, it is a business, but it's an illegal business. There is no law monitoring it rigidly enough to make it a legal business. Now in the United States of America, right now, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney are going around the country raising millions of dollars for their election. But it's a legal business. If he takes $1 more illegally, he'll go to prison. We just have to do that, isn't it?
Right, Guru.
Speaking about that one, a lot of people don't like that because it ends up I guess a lot of people who want to run who can't raise the money can't compete against these people because they're so popular. I don't know. A lot of people are also saying take money out of politics also because, again, if one person can raise a lot of money, they can overshadow a whole bunch of other politicians. And plus, if getting more money gets you into power, that can be corrupted quite easily. Money can corrupt people very easily. And this is what a lot of people are complaining about, super PACs. I've heard that term before. I'm not completely sure what it means, but I think it's like these big companies pulling their monies together to one Democrat or Republican party member to boost that person to power, because this one person that they're giving this money to will give them incentives. Hey, if you give me money, I'll give you this. So it's like a business transaction, which can be, again, very corruptible as well.
Coming to my question, it's like there's been this bipole elections. I went to the campaign because, motivated.
You must arrive at the question quickly.
Yeah, because…
Not because I am hungry, because so many hands are going up.
There has to be a background formed for the question because otherwise it's difficult to understand.
No, we are capable of understanding the context.
The question, if I have to put in a nutshell, then how an intellectual and a person with a business outlook can stand for elections and win?
This culture of economics has still not come. We are in still a culture of charity. We have to bring a culture of economics because you've chosen a market economy. See, this is not a simple decision to make. For the builders of this nation, they chose a socialistic economy because it was more endearing to think in terms of let's share, let's do things better. It's not about you versus me, let us do this, but it did not work. As an idea, it's a great idea, but it's an idea that's failed because humanity is not ready for such a big idea. Right now, we have come to a much grosser idea, okay? Market economy is a gross idea, very crass way of existence, but it's working better than the very refined idea. I'm interested in making it work because ideals on an empty stomach means nothing. I know 400 million people in this country have not eaten one good meal in the last 10 days, probably. So when this is our condition, ideals are a taboo. I'm saying this to him. Ideals are at a… Nobody can have the luxury of having ideals. We just have to do what's needed. After everybody has eaten, then we can talk what is our ideal, what is our philosophy, what is our ethic. First people have to eat because eating cannot be postponed to tomorrow. Philosophy can be postponed to tomorrow, meditation can be postponed to tomorrow, eating cannot be postponed to tomorrow, it has to happen now, isn't it? So for this, once we have chosen our economic model is market economy, please strengthen the market and nothing else but the market.
Going with what he just said previous to this market thing, where we can do philosophy now, meditation, philosophy later, meditation later, ethics later, and I'm just going with this because of how I'm seeing America kind of going. It's the fact that there are still some people in America, I'm sure, that hasn't eaten, who there's still homeless issues. Even as rich as America is, there's still homeless, hunger issues. There's still poor issues. But even with that aside, there are probably far more people that are eating decently enough. And even with the hunger issues, shelter issues, and thirst issues are solved for the most part, we are having this freedom, how do I say, this enjoyment of life where we're not worried about the three basic survival instincts, that we are creating so much problems for ourselves. I have a feeling we did the economic aspect of what Sadhguru was saying, and we're continuing to postpone the spiritual aspect of it. So we're economic, spiritual, we're somewhere right here. Problem. Fix the economic problem to a degree. This weird problem somewhere in the middle between economic and spiritual. The weird stuff that's going on in America. I'm sorry I can't really specify, but if you kind of hear what's going around, it's really weird.
People tell me, what is this? You say you're a spiritual leader, but you're charging for this. I said, I will charge. Somebody who comes who cannot pay, I will do something else. But I want you to understand, if you want something delivered, it costs. Whether you pay for it or somebody else pays for it, it costs. You've gotten used to somebody else paying for it, that is why you don't know how to make use of anything that's offered to you. If you were paying for it, you would make use of it well, isn't it? Yes or no? Right now, rice is free, dal is free, television is free, gas is free. You think you will destroy the work culture of this nation completely. In Tamil Nadu today, so many things are free, essentially for election reasons and populistic democracy that we are doing right now. Yes, when somebody doesn't have anything, you give him something, it's great. But instead of giving something, even if it causes suffering, if you create opportunities where everybody could make money and have the necessary power to buy it, it would be better. Because today, this started from Andhra Pradesh, that's why I'm telling you. Rice came at 1 rupee. A 10 rupee rice, if you give it at 1 rupee, who is paying the 9 rupees? Who's asking this question? I'm saying you have chosen a market economy, you cannot do this. It may sound cruel, but there are poor people. The first thing is you are enjoying poverty, this is the biggest problem. Religious people enjoy poverty because they want somebody to serve and go to heaven. Now, businessman does not enjoy poverty, he wants everybody to have purchasing power because otherwise he cannot run his business.
Before he talks, and another thing I want to throw in there, and this is from my perspective, I think when people have to work for something, they tend to appreciate it more because they understand what hard work they had to put in to get it. Now, even with that, I think, again, I'm going back to America, there's this entitlement that some people have. I don't know if it's not a lot, it's some people have it, where even though they worked for it, they believe that they deserve it. Not that they've earned it, but they deserve it. They're entitled to it. And so by having this entitlement, they don't feel like they should have worked for it. And they don't appreciate it because they deserve it, they're entitled for it. And you can kind of see this in, I wouldn't necessarily say some adults and some young people. A lot of people are wanting free college. I get it. And the price of I don't want to tell. It's really, it's a few things. But anyways, but whenever things become free, and it's something Sadhguru has said before, where he gave away his inner engineering course, but people sign up for it, but didn't really do it because it's free. But when you have money involved, because you had to work for that money, you appreciate it more, you take it more seriously. Exactly what Sadhguru said. And this is the thing that I'm saying. People in America just feel so entitled to stuff that they don't feel like they should work for things. And I think that's becoming a problem.
I think three powerful messages are coming from you, Swamiji, today. The first order of priority is rule of law, enforcement of rules and laws and public order. The second order of priority is unity of India. Third is economic growth at any cost. I think that's the take-home
Right
message
now,
today.
till everybody eats economic growth at any cost.
Absolutely.
After that, we can control the costs.
Whew, that is hard to say at any cost. Whew, I mean, you definitely gotta watch out for the cost, because it could end up at the cost of everyone and everything. But I understand what he's trying to say. Hopefully, it needs to get done.
I am proud to say I voted for Lok Satta. Before I pose this question, I wanted to say this. I don't know there is any other party in the country like this, so I am very happy for that. My question is, like me, there are a lot of people in this state. First, I am trying to talk about my state, in this state. But why? What the system is hindering? Why we are not able to win more seats? Right now, we just have one legislative. So why can't we have JP as the chief minister, or anybody like JP being chief minister? So what is stopping us? So what's Sadhguru's message to the people here? Because everybody is here, they wanted to do something for the society. But I am sure, like me, I am not doing anything. I just think about it. I do nothing. So like me, I guess there are 50% of the people here. So what the message we should get, and how we get that education, and what we have to do. We are ready to do anything. I am happy the way India is progressing, the media, the RTI, everything is very good. So the question is, the simple finishing thing, we have to get that. So what is the message from you, so that we all go to streets and do something for the country? Thank you.
Sadhguru, before you intervene.
No, it's you who has to answer.
No, he wanted an answer from you. Answers are from you, questions are from us. This is an often asked question. It's not about this party or that. That ethical politics is not sustainable in India. That what we all desire, or we claim to desire, is not winnable in India is a proven proposition. I can now say with some degree of confidence across the country. The challenge is how to reverse that. That's the anguish of that young man. Sadhguru, you already mentioned the answer, you gave the answer earlier. We all forget the initial conditions of our democracy because we take the normative democratic institutions and the constitution. We think it should operate the way it operates in other countries after a certain degree of maturity. We have not created the initial conditions, and Sadhguru is repeatedly emphasizing that. Even today, the voters have no notion that they are electing a representative. They think they're electing a monarch, and once elected, he somehow will deliver. We don't care how. No rules, no laws, no procedure. Get it done somehow or other. And that's not merely the failing of the poor people. It is the failing of our class, Sadhguru. It is the failing of the middle classes. It's the failing of the educated. That's the general perception. The second is, Sadhguru, we created an impossible situation where nothing happens without somebody's intervention. And there is perpetual dissatisfaction because even if the elected person wants to deliver, he cannot fulfill the expectations, and therefore money has become the currency of vote getting. And now in the competition to get the votes, in our kind of electoral system, where one vote more means you win, one vote less means you lose. Look at Tamil Nadu, DMK, ADMK, how they alternate so dramatically. There is a desperation and a competitive pressure to buy the votes. And that's why today you see in some constituencies, a candidate spending 20 to 30 crores in an assembly election. And that's the reason why I have been arguing for…
You're not getting it. Investing
Okay. Yes, Sadhguru, you're right. Investing as a business proposition.
He is not throwing it away, he is
You're
investing.
absolutely. A straightforward business proposition in anticipation of multiple returns. There's no question about it. There are two things, and that's the reason why I was urging Sadhguru to take up this issue. One is we have to bring what is the definition of the community is a challenge, but whatever it means, localize power so that citizens are empowered and they understand the limitations of power. Today, because they have no power, they have no responsibility either. Localize power and make them masters of their own resources, but hold a danda so that things don't go beyond a point. And the second is a bigger thing at the national level. Unless we push the political parties, the big national parties, Sadhguru, in the large states of India, UP, Bihar, Bengal, now Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, the 6 largest states of India, the 2 grand national parties of this country are more or less decimated. Andhra Pradesh, now it's pretty close to that. Other party was never there. In Maharashtra, both are playing second fiddle. Elsewhere, they are not a factor, which is a unique feature. We are thinking it's normal, it's absolutely unnatural. These parties, once they fall below a certain threshold, they're disappearing in state after state. With the recent fragmentation, this will only get worse. Now is the time for us to make them realize that there's a different way of electing our representatives, where this kind of money pressure is not there. One possibility is, with certain checks and balances, proportionality-based system. Another, at least at the state level, is directly electing the leader. There are models, but we have to now build a consensus and make them realize. Meanwhile,
Hold on, I'm gonna rewind that real quick.
balances, proportionality-based.
One possibility is with certain checks and balances, proportionally based system. Okay, the reason why I paused it there is, what is it? I think in the United States there's something very similar. I don't know if it's a one-to-one basis of what he's talking about, but we have based on the population size of your county or your whatever it may be, you get certain number of representatives, and the reason why they do this is because it's to prevent certain counties or states outnumbering other counties or states, so that one state or one county doesn't have a disproportionate amount of power, and it will not overrun the smaller states or counties. So proportionally based system, I think that's pretty close to it. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out, which was, I thought he meant like what to say, population based system. But yeah, so a certain number of people gets a certain number of votes. That way the larger population doesn't basically vote in their favor all the time and start decimating the small population areas because of just how big the voting bloc is of larger population areas.
System. Another, at least at the state level, is directly electing the leader. There are models, but we have to now build a consensus and make them realize. Meanwhile, no matter how many hardships we have, once the goal is clear, we have to keep on fighting. I don't see a short-term alternative unless the Sadhguru and many others, they use all their formidable spiritual and temporal influence and authority to move the country in the direction that we all desire. Sadhguru.
In that effort, last 4 years I've been striving to put all the spiritual leaders on one platform. This is called the Confederation.
It's even tougher than NGO leaders, I thought, getting them together. And
Confederation of spiritual, indigenous spiritual movements. We're calling it as Guru Sangamam, putting all the gurus together. I don't want to talk to you about my experience, okay? But we have managed for the first time this year, in the month of April, 123 gurus, prominent ones, we all met. The last 4 years I've been trying to educate them. We can simply meet without an agenda. There is no need. What is the agenda? What shall we do? Shall we take Padayatra? Shall we fast? Shall we eat? This is the question. I said, no, we will just be together, maybe share a lunch, just be together. Just because each one of you, each one of us have millions of people, just coming together is a major event. Let's come together, the power of being together, you're not understanding. So we are doing that, but that is still a long way to become a force by itself, as a guiding force, because each one of them will tend to take or jump to some party or the other. I'm trying to keep them away from any party. Let it just be a few things that needs to happen in the nation rather than pitching this party or that party, because once again the same thing will happen.
100% agree. Like I said this in the video before, I would never ever tell anyone to vote for any particular party. They should do the research themselves and vote for whatever party they believe to be right. And I do wonder, is this still going on every year or however often he seeks they meet? That'd be pretty cool if it's still something going on, and I do wonder what's going on with it.
But for you, a man of your integrity, you must jump into a party which you think is of a lesser evil. But evil. Whichever is a lesser evil, you must jump into that, because this young man, he feels proud, I have voted for Lok Satta. But his pride is just empty pride, which will go waste, which will not build a nation. Your integrity, your ethic, your moral, your intentions, your intellect, wanting to do something, all this will go waste unless you have the legs and the hands to do it. It should not go waste. It should not go waste, because I want you to understand this. In Indian minds, especially in the Indian mind and very much in the American mind, people have put these capsules, okay, this is BJP, this is Congress, this is political, this is non-political, this is administration. There is no such thing in a democracy. Democracy is a continuous metamorphosis. The man who is a nobody, tomorrow morning he can be sitting in the parliament. This is the possibility and this is the beauty of democracy. You will destroy the beauty of that by getting identified with something or the other, and you will destroy the power of that by getting identified. So, if you have integrity, if you have capability, if you have competence which can make a difference for the people of this country, it's most important you get into a place where you will be most effective. Not just enjoy this satisfaction, I voted for integrity. No, you voted for integrity but against India. You vote for India. You don't vote for integrity, you don't vote for world values, you don't vote for morality, you vote for India. What's good for this country, that is what you vote for.
Real quick with the person that asked that question, I was having a hard time understanding him, but from what I understood, and let me know if I'm right, I mean, again, if you want to or not, looks like he said he was proud that he voted for someone from, I believe, his state. He wants his state to have more power, but he doesn't understand how his state can get more power. And also the sheer fact that he does not know, I mean, he says he votes, but he doesn't know how to get involved. So he's basically sitting there doing nothing for the most part. And I do believe he said that majority of the people in his state are doing nothing as well, because I guess most of them don't know how to get involved and to perhaps get their states more seats for representation. That's what I understood from his question, but he was all over the place from my understanding. I'm probably just not used to hearing how Indian people ask questions, so it's trying to formulate it in my head.
Sadhguru, I agree with the broader point that all of us are political. Politics is not a dirty thing, and I'm glad that you're making that point as a spiritual leader. Unless we recognize that we're all in politics, you like it or not, in some form or the other, doesn't mean that you contest, doesn't mean that you're a member of a political party, doesn't mean that you aspire for power, but you actually aspire change.
You must aspire for power. Because if you don't aspire for power, I understand that you have no intention of doing anything for this country.
Oh, that I agree. That's even more music to my ears.
You need power to make change. You just gotta be careful for absolute power, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And by the way, when I say Indian, I mean the guy that was talking. I understand them very clearly, but him, I guess he was just in a rush or something. The way he was talking was like he was almost all over the place in my ears.
But I'm now trying to push
No,
them
because, no,
up to a point.
why I'm speaking like this is, in Indian minds, particularly middle-class minds, people who can read newspapers and watch televisions, in these people's minds, business is a bad word, power is a bad word. No, these are not bad words. These have gotten into bad hands, that is the problem. These are good things.
They're like tools. They can be used for good or for bad.
That's a terrific message, Sadhguru. Who has the microphone?
My problem is I have a longing to do something, but all my energy and my time is expended to satisfy my definition of my personal and my family well-being. How do I break my vicious cycle and seeking a solution? Thank you.
Sadhguru, you are the best
This
person
is
to
a
answer.
satsang question, this is not a… As Jayaprakash already said, your well-being is not independent of the social well-being. Your well-being is not independent of the national well-being. Your well-being is not independent of the global well-being. If you understand this, you will operate more sensibly.
I'm delighted, Sadhguru. If I may just add, we should do something beyond what appears to be immediately necessary for ourselves, not because we are very charitable or moral, but because the mosquito in the neighborhood, which has bitten an urchin there, will enter your home no matter how wealthy you are, no matter
No,
how
they've meshed up
successful
their
you are.
house, they've completely meshed their house.
But you still have to open the door, you can't imprison yourself forever. And it will bite you and transmit the dengue virus to your child, because
Very
mosquitoes are truly socialist. Sadhguru is talking about how terrible damage socialism has done to us, but mosquitoes are truly socialist. They do not respect rank or tradition or power. We need it for ourselves, not because of a higher goal. I think that's the best message.
I can tell you a way where mosquitoes will not be interested in you. Really. If you take off salt from your diet completely, mosquitoes will not be interested in biting you.
I don't know, you can remove salt from your diet. I think salt is essential, in your diet. But I don't think mosquitoes are socialists either. I think they're dictators. Because they don't share their blood. They just go and… wherever they go, they'll go and suck it and take it. They'll take it at however way they can. Socialists would mean that they take the blood and share it amongst their mosquito friends, or am I misunderstanding them?
Many may believe that there's a worse life than having mosquitoes bite you. Sadhguru. Worse life than having…
Biting you.
Many may believe that there's a worse life than having mosquitoes bite you. Sadhguru.
Okay.
Yes. Who has the microphone?
Why don't you sit with the financial minister or prime minister and ask for some amount of money to locate the right education schools like Isha, or whatever it may be, to educate the right people, the education to the people. Why don't you sit with the prime minister to locate the right schools all over the India? So because you are saying this is really need, the economy or political, whatever it may be. If you are right, if your experience is right, why don't you do that? This is my question.
You're asking Sadhguru?
Yes, Sadhguru.
So for your information, if you do not already know, there is nothing much the Prime Minister can do right now.
Whoever can do,
And
Sadhguru.
anyway, whoever can do, why don't we talk to them? As a part of this, almost 15 years ago, I went, because our work was in rural India, I went to meet the rural development minister in the center. He was a very wonderful man. I found a lot of politicians on a personal level, they're wonderful people, but they've become victims of their own making and situation also. So he was very wonderful. He took me into the… we met him in the Parliament building, he took me into this Rural Development Ministry office. Then he told me, so enthusiastically, he told me all the schemes that they have. I sat there for 3 days looking at all the schemes that were relevant to make a difference in rural India. These are extremely well thought out schemes. Whoever made these things thought through everything, made fantastic plans. You must have access to this as an IAS officer at one time. I was surprised that somebody has been doing phenomenal work. They've done great work. And then after looking at all this, again I went and sat with the minister, this is fantastic, when is this going to happen? He said, last year we had 14,000 crores left unused because nobody is coming forward to do this. Fantastic schemes. There is a budget. You can't ask for anything more. We know what's the solution. We have worked out the solution in entire detail and there is budget, but nobody is there to do it. This is the country you're living in. Even if the Prime Minister has the intention, he cannot do much right now because there is a whole system. So instead of going on trying to revive a system which is cancer-ridden, to deliver goods to the people. I was on dais with some local ministers in Tamil Nadu, and somebody gave me information. I said, out of every rupee that is spent in the government schemes, only 12 paisa reaches the project. On the way, this much goes away. The minister who's sitting next to me said, Sadhguru, no, not 12 paisa, it's only 4 paisa. I said, well, you must be in the know. And I corrected myself, no, not 12 paisa, only 4 paisa out of a rupee is reaching the project. 96 paisa gets lost somewhere on the way. If 4 paisa got lost, we can say, okay, let's go on, let's revive the system and make it happen. If only 4 paisa is being delivered, that is not even a system, isn't it? Even if you throw it in the air, 4 paisa will fall in your pocket. You don't need a system for this. If only 4% is reaching it, you cannot call it a system. That is why I'm going on talking business is because businesses can deliver. When we say business, we are talking about a completely new system. And right now, the whole country and the world is fired up to be economically successful. This is the right time to change the things. As many things as possible, as many services as possible, including giving birth certificate, give it to private agencies, okay? Put stringent laws. If they subvert, something else will happen. You will see, they will come looking where a baby is born and give birth certificate. Yes or no? They will…
Before it goes to further, I'm gonna call it the $1, and the only thing that's left over was 4 cents in a sense. Like 96% of it's lost somewhere. That sounds very familiar to like a lot of it. From what I'm hearing, it's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of administrative fees, and this is what happens when there's so much, how do I say, government oversight to things, where in order to get something started, there are so many fees involved to the point where you need to be a billionaire just to get something passed, and then you're broke. And that's also happening within businesses too, because I can see it somewhat in America, where well, this is the only way I can see it really, is there's a whole bunch of a lot of, how do I say, departments created for certain aspects that are needed because of government legislation and local legislation and anything else to protect the business. There's so many bureaucracy out there that the price of goods go up because it needs to pay for everything in the business. And this is what Sadhguru was talking about earlier. I forget which part it was on, where you create so many rules that you start stifling business, or business becomes so expensive to run that it's not even worth running.
Will come looking and give it. If there are 10 agencies in this town, there will be a competition, they will be looking, when will you have birth in your house? The moment you're pregnant, they will already book you up. Yes or no? So, I'm talking about changing the entire system because there is a point till which you can repair something. You know? You bought your Maruti car in 2000, it's 12 years, you've used it extensively, but still you can repair. You bought your Ambassador car in 1950, it is better either you buy a bicycle or walk, or if you can afford, buy a new car. You can't go on fixing it because fixing it becomes more expensive than putting up a new system. This system that we're talking about, the economic module which we have already chosen, market economy, doesn't cost to establish the system. There is no cost to the establishment. You just have to make the laws and leave it to the people. Right from there, from that village itself, answers will come. Right now everybody is looking to Delhi for answers, schemes and schemes. They got all the answers which can't be delivered.
Sadhguru, I think we'll take the last two questions so that…
We understood that there should be an economist or a businessman should be a leader, right? That is what we are trying to understand here. Now, my question is…
No, I'm not only talking about a businessman becoming a leader. I'm talking about business moving into the leadership. There's a difference between the two.
For example, you said, Guruji, you said that any businessman, he won't have prejudice or he might not have any morals or… I don't know. What I think is, any businessman will definitely have his own ethics and morals, he would be running his own business.
No. I'm telling, I do not trust anybody's ethics and morals. Nation doesn't have the patience to check your ethics and morals. We need laws which are enforceable, 100% enforceable. This is the problem, this is a serious Indian problem, what you're saying. This is the problem. We go on talking about morality, we go on talking about charity, sharing. Leave this, it's not worked. That is socialism, it's not worked. Isn't it? It worked only when there was strong bonding in communities. Among their own castes, among their own creeds, they supported each other, they shared and they did things.
And I want to say, this is my belief, socialism does work, but in small groups. It has to. When you come to survival situation, you cannot do a capitalistic. There's no way capitalism works in a survival situation. Socialism 100% is working there because the work must be distributed to the people and everyone must contribute evenly. Otherwise, people will start saying, he's not pulling his weight around here. I don't know if we continue to share. There becomes an issue within the group itself. But once the group grows bigger and bigger, it becomes more difficult for socialism to strive because you have to keep track of everyone. And eventually, you'll have a government that'll be, overlooking everyone, and everyone doesn't know what everyone else is doing. And everyone cannot have an oversight on everyone because they're further away or whatever it may be. But then you start having this government with the power to give people what they distribute the workload, and that's where capitalism becomes a bit more a bit better in terms of at least a larger population, because then each individual person in these areas spread out, you can say states, will know it's like, hey, there's no one raising cattle here. I could do that and make a lot of money. And there's a lot of demand for it, so I can start that up. People in their own states and their own cities know what their state or cities need. And people who want to do that, whether they, or let me put it this way, whether they want to or not, if they really want to make money, can say, I don't really want to raise cattle, but it's going to make me a lot of money. And then if I make enough money, I can hire someone to do that for me, and I'll be the manager of it. Something along those lines. Whereas a socialist government doesn't really know the needs of the people, and especially when it gets a lot of them, it becomes more difficult to manage them. But I am not an economist, so that's just my theory.
That bonding is gone. Now that system will not work.
Sadhguru, his question is, for everybody's hearing, can 19th century politics and 21st century economy coexist unless one of them being compromised?
It is very wrong to think we are doing 19th century politics. We are doing 20th century politics. You are just having a taste of 21st century politics and it's leaving a distaste in our mouths. So this is 21st century politics. Never before anybody had ever imagined for an assembly seat, somebody is going to spend 25 crores or 50 crores is an unimaginable thing even 10 years ago. So it is purely 21st century politics, not 19th century politics.
The question is, what are your views on Anna Hazare? Sadhguru, he asked you, I'll certainly give my views if they ask me, but Sadhguru, you must respond.
My interest is not Anna Hazare, my interest is nation. I am not interested in Anna Hazare, I am not interested in Indira Gandhi, I am not interested in Narendra Modi, I am interested in this country. Country means people. So, I went to Hazare's meeting when he was fasting and I also spoke there and supported them in so many ways. I never see Anna Hazare as a solution. I don't. But it is very significant that somebody is playing that role of bringing that awareness, firing up the whole nation towards a cause. There is no question of the significance of his role, but at the same time we should not overplay this role. Because this Jan Lokpal, whatever we are talking about, you can pick 100 holes in it. You know, you want corruption to go, you want people's awareness to come to it, that's perfect, no question. But now, if you bring a law which supersedes every other law, you will have big problems. And how will you populate these positions which will enforce these laws? If already all the criminal procedures codes that you have is being enforced by people who are corrupt and misusing it in 1,000 different ways, how do you know tomorrow the Lokpal, where do you import them from, I'm asking? Once again, everybody will try to get into Lokpal now. Everybody is trying to get into the parliament, everybody is trying to get into the, whatever the system. Now once you see this is the power, if he's saying in Andhra Pradesh 42 elected representatives, is it? Or people who stood for election, who are criminals, or they got elected?
Most of them were elected or…
Okay. So 42 people in one assembly are people with established crime behind them. Tomorrow, after 10 years, they will all understand Lokpal is the place to be, parliament is not the place to be, and they will all enter that. And with such sweeping powers, it will become a very dangerous force. But I don't believe what he is doing is right, but it is appropriate. Right now it is needed. Right now we need to shake up people and tell them, if you don't do this, we're going to hang you. Somebody needs to do this. And he is doing that, hats off to him, he's managed to somehow. But it's a limited role. He and people around him must understand, it's a limited role. If you stretch it beyond that, that will become the problem. We have reached a time in our nation where the question is not about who is corrupt. The question is about who is not corrupt, unfortunately. If the question was who is corrupt, it would be easy to fix it. The question is who is not corrupt. One Jayaprakash Narayan is a shining example. It is fortunate that we are sitting with him here, but it's unfortunate, it's very unfortunate that somebody who is not corrupt is so important for us, because millions of them should have been not corrupt. But now we have brought this nation in 65 years. 65 years ago, people were willing to walk on the street and throw their lives for this nation. Today we have brought this to a point where a man who is not corrupt is a celebrity. We have to change this. We have to make Jayaprakash Narayan an ordinary citizen of this nation.
Absolutely, Sadhguru. What is the minimum requirement has now become the maximum qualification, unfortunately. You're absolutely right. Sadhguru, I think it's a wonderful blend of spiritualism with pragmatism. It's rare to find a spiritual leader give us such absolutely compelling
I'm trying to
logic.
bring him down, he's trying to praise me.
Such compelling arguments and response to real challenges of life. Thank you, Sadhguru, for that reality check.
Thank you
We
very
are
much.
deeply grateful to you for this interaction.
Oh, let's see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I watched a video earlier today. I think it was about Joe Biden falling on his bike, and then reading one of the comments, like something calling Joe Biden a traitor. I'm like, oh my god, that's a bit of an extreme point of view. I mean, good lord. I don't know. I'm decently indifferent in politics. I am a kind of person that I guess that so long as everything's fairly done, whether my party win or lose, I have to accept that. And I think there are certain extreme groups out there that if their party doesn't win, they take things a bit too extremely, and that's really dangerous. Because if their party won and the opposite party starts doing the exact same thing as they did, and they say, oh, they should respect the election, kind of being hypocrites basically, then and they can't see that, that becomes quite a problem. Now, whether there's corruption going on, I mean, where is it not, honestly? That's what Sadhguru is talking about, basically. Luckily enough, I don't think there's too much corruption, but then again, I don't follow politics that closely. But I know there is corruption, and that kind of sucks. I mean, I guess it can't be helped for the most part. It's just a matter of containing it and maintaining it, because I think it will always be there. It's just that how much of it will be there and how well it'll be contained. I guess that's the question. And I did read one of the comments about how they said that India has changed a lot since the time of this recording. I think that's great. It said it's gone for the better, which is great. But it's interesting to go back and listen to some of the issues that were said in the past to see if it's not repeating itself. Because I can't remember, I think there were certain issues in the United States in the past that are kind of coming back up, and it's really interesting. It's like, they had these issues back then, but there is a bit of a twist to it, obviously. There's what was relevant in the past and what's relevant in the present time. Similar issues, but different time frame. I can't exactly point it out, but I just noticed certain things like that. It's just again, there's a saying that history tends to repeat itself. But yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the reaction to moving not to India, but moving India, which I've been wrong about for so long. And thank you for everyone for correcting that. Jeez, I need to read more. I need to read what's in front of me. Moving India. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.